Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on where you're tuning in across the world. Welcome to another edition of Crime Time with DutyRon and Ed Wallace. We are retired New York City police detectives and 9/11 World Trade Center first responders. If you like all things true crime related from the police detective's perspective, hit the subscribe button, hit that notification bell so you'll get all things DutyRon and this guy right here, Ed Wallace, when we go live or upload another video. Folks, tonight, 1122 King Road, it's gone. They demolished it. The University of Idaho did not yield to the professionals who are crying out for them to not take it down. I don't think you can find one criminal defense attorney across the United States, or probably across the world for that matter, to be in agreement with the demolition of 1122 King Road. And in under 2 hours, Ed, we watched it crumble to the ground. We're going to get to the town hall meeting, the second half of the show. We're going to have you, our viewers, and our live audience come in and express your concerns and questions live with Ed Wallace and myself, because I think it's important for all of our voices to be heard, not just for you guys to hear it from me and Ed. And we've been screaming this from the rooftops, right, Ed, all along?
Absolutely.
What's your thoughts on what you saw happen today at 7 a.m. Moscow, Idaho time?
It's an unforced error on the part of the prosecution and law enforcement for not holding on to that house. There's been a lot of issues that I've had with this, removing the furniture, changing the appearance of the house, all of this. It should have been on hold until the trial is over. Now, I understand the district attorney was saying, well, they weren't going to let them go into because the location has been altered to such an extreme that they felt it was of no value. Well, here's the thing. You never know what is going to go through the mind of a juror. Okay. And I just think that this was unnecessary. It didn't have to happen. And that they could have saved the place and got the judge to agree and ordered the university to halt this. And they did it in the wee hours of the morning.
Yeah, they did it before 7 a.m. It was scheduled for 7, but they were sneaky and they started at 6:30 in the morning, their time. And like you said, Ed, it's better to have it and not need it. And then on the other hand, need it and not have it. Here you see the stairway that leads up to the second and third floor. This is that infamous stairwell that we see here where my mouse is going. I'm going to let this play in the background, and this is them taking this entire structure down. Ed, again, I want you to continue on your thoughts, and I'm sorry that I interrupted you, but I wanted people to see that because a lot of people didn't take notice of that.
Now, I've been debating all day with so-called other forensic experts. They're saying it's much ado about nothing. And I'm saying, like I said, you don't know what's going to go through the minds of the juror the juror or jury after they hear the testimony. Okay, you don't know what requests they could have made to the judge during deliberations about wanting to go out here and see this. Okay, I just don't understand the necessity for this. It's an unforced error. They should have held off. They should not have given the furniture away. They should have not, should have not have done many of the things that they did to the inside of this house. There were multiple visits to this house, and it just, I don't know. I'm at a loss. I just can't figure it out. And I pray to God that it doesn't impact the jury.
Yeah, I concur wholeheartely, and again, I've been trying to search the internet to find people who are in agreement with this demolition, and we're watching it, the replay from drone footage from one of the local TV stations there, and as you see this massive structure being ripped down, you think of Zeta Knodel, Ethan Chapin, Madison Mogan, and Kaylee Gonzalez. This is in my eyes, and I think you are in total agreement with me, is a travesty of justice, because and here you just need one little one little thing, one juror to say, hey, to come up with a guilty verdict, I need to see this location. I need to walk through
Not
it.
only not only see it, but maybe drive around it and look at the outside. I know they have all the 3D laser scans. I know I got that. They're going to build a 3D model. I know all of that. Okay. But it's still really not the same thing. And yes, I know the furniture was removed, and I know the acoustics inside of this location has been changed because of the furniture has been removed, and things have been altered inside of the scene. I get all of that. All right. I get all of that. But if I'm going to make a mistake, okay, if I'm going to hedge a bet, I'm going to err on the side of caution. And caution tells me to keep the house. Keep the house until after the trial. I mean, like I said, removal of the furniture. What was the necessity for that? What was the necessity to remove all the furniture? What was the necessity to do all this? I get taking the furniture that has evidence on it. I understand that. Okay. But all these other things that occurred along the way over this time period, and we're talking a year now, right?
Mm.
So, where really, you couldn't hold it until the trial, which is what, July, August, maybe of this year, 24 coming up. Um,
And,
you know,
that's
like I said,
and that's the whole argument, Ed, is that everybody that's watching this is saying to themselves, what would it have been to the University of Idaho to just keep that fence up there or make a larger fence? We see on the side of expressways where, for noise purposes and for visual for homeowners, they put up these big wooden stanchions. I'm not sure what they're called, but they're sound deadening as well, and they put them up. I mean, the amount of money they spent on demoing this, they could have put up some blockers so people didn't see it. And the argument that we're going to hear some of the executives from the University of Idaho put out. I believe her name was Judy. She is interviewed by the AP, and she says, in the best interest of our students and the general public and the surrounding residents, we felt it necessary to take it down. What about the justice for the murdered victims and their families? What about that? And I didn't hear any mention of them. And
weren't they students? Weren't they students as well?
They were not graduates.
Okay, so let's just forget about them because they're no longer with us, right? And we're just concentrate. Come on, all right. That's just total horseshit. Okay, yeah. All right. That is a lame excuse. All right, to take this house down. First of all, from my other background, you're not supposed to be doing this kind of demo. You need a permit, right? You need a permit, and that permit has time restrictions on when you can take houses down like this, right? And do this kind of work. And it definitely isn't 0:30 in the morning when people are still sleeping in the community around there, and then you come break out the heavy machinery here and start taking the house down. Okay, they did it what, 6:30 in the morning?
Yeah, they started a half hour ahead of schedule.
It was still dark.
Yeah, it was dark, and I'm gonna show a little picture of the darkness. But I want to take a listen to the representative from the University of Idaho. She talks just a little bit on here, and this is just 1 minute and 47 seconds. This is from the AP.
Much it will help with the healing process to have that house removed.
Not one mention of the 4 victims and their families here. This is where I have a problem with this. And again, you and I always talk about this. It's about the victims and their families, and it's justice. But this trial hasn't even kicked off. There's no trial date as of yet. We're looking at summer of 2024. But Ed, this is University of Idaho, and I say shame. I say shame on them. And we're going to listen to a very seasoned homicide trial attorney who also goes hard at the University of Idaho. And kudos to this man. I'm going to highlight that in a few minutes, but we'll take a listen to this just again, and no mention of these victims.
To have expressions have to let us.
Whatever. But
the university has been in contact with.
Let me just
if there is a hung jury or an acquittal because of this, then the governor, the president of the university, and the prosecutor should lose their jobs.
Yeah, Idaho President Scott Green, and most of the residents and people in that surrounding community talk highly of this man. And I don't know him. I don't know him personally, but all I know is that the victims and their families should have been put at the forefront, not the students and not their feelings, and that they have to look at this house. That's too bad. Guess what? These families can't get to look at their children. These young adults, Zana Knodel, Ethan Chapin, Madison Mogan, Kaylee Gonzalez, 20, 20, 21, 21. Now are, this is in the past, but when they were murdered, those were their ages. And guess what? Those folks, those people, the surviving family, including their siblings and their aunts and uncles, they don't get to see them. So, these are some of the things that makes my blood boil when we hear and see stupidity like this. University of Idaho has no idea of the enormity of what happened here today, what took place today. And I'm outraged by it. Ed, what do you got up on the screen there?
Well, Dave, the question is, what are the chances that they have 100% of the evidence from that house? Well, you don't know what you don't know. So yeah, I doubt it's 100%. Okay?
Yeah, and there was another question, Ed, that I was seeing, redundant question. What if the actual murder weapon was stuffed in a pipe or stuffed down a wall? Did they check every inch? I hope to God and pray to God that they checked every inch of that location at 1122 King Road. But that was a question that was brought up and sent in over on DutyRon.com. What if Kohberger
I think
or the murder weapon was stuffed by the perpetrator somewhere and secreted somewhere behind a wall that we don't know about?
Well, they took it down. Now, are they going to go sift through the construction debris? Are they going to sift through the construction debris to see if something like that is in fact the case? Okay, I don't think so. They're going to stick it in a dumpster and haul it out to a landfill.
Yeah.
Okay. But I will tell you this too. It's so disturbing on so many different levels. But I think a lot of this, I don't know how they're making these decisions, but a lot of it, I think, is being made from a lack of experience.
I believe so. And we're going to hear a little bit about that. Again, it's not about the university. It's about these victims and their families. And this is where people lose touch with reality and what's most important. It's not about money and the image of the University of Idaho. All right. You're never going to erase that 4 of your students were slain off campus in an off-campus home that's in eyeshot of the university. It's right there. It's right on the outskirts. So it is technically an off-campus home, but it's right there within walking distance to everything. You could see the University of Idaho from there. Let's let the rest of this play, and then I want to go to this trial attorney.
The families of the victims.
Here is that there was 2 of the family members, 2 of the families that were not in agreement with this. And they were speaking loud and clear. And one of them was Steve Gonzalez and Zana Knodel's family. So I know Ethan Chapin's mom stated publicly, and her father said we're okay with it. And Maddie Mogan, her dad, really didn't address it. But that's the point here, is that it's not about who gets the majority. It's about what's right. And that's what I'm saying here, Ed, is it's about what's right. And what's right is getting justice. Taking the perpetrator who was responsible for this and bringing them to trial and having a successful trial. And this just gave the defense it's a huge win for them. They're not going to argue this. They're not going to say, oh, no. And when it comes to the appellates and all of the appeals, this is a capital murder case. There's going to be appeals. And then this house and the demo of it and the removal, as you said, of the mattresses and all their personal belongings. And we saw the chief of the police back up a freaking U-Haul and start bringing shit out of that house. That in itself But that gives the defense something when they go to appeal this this capital punishment if he is convicted.
Well, allegedly there was hearings on this, and the defense and the prosecutor both apparently were in agreement about allowing the house to be taken down, and and the judge was like, yeah, all right. So, it's not the judge's place to correct mistakes made in the prosecution's case. Okay. But this was an easy one. This was simple. Just leave it alone until after the trial.
Yeah.
Okay. The university spokesperson there said nothing about the community at large, because remember, again, as you said, this is off campus. Okay.
Mhm.
And there are other people that live around that house that are not students.
Correct.
Okay. What did they have to say? Did you consult the community? Okay. And prosecutions are done in the name of the people of that state. It's the people of Idaho versus. Okay. Did anybody get the pulse of the people of the state of Idaho, whether or not they wanted that house down? Okay. And they keep talking about closure and healing and all of this else. That comes later. Okay. There's no such thing as closure, by the way, but the healing is a process that goes along from the beginning of the homicides, from the horrific act all the way through. Part of the closure, part of the healing is also the prosecution. All right. Getting justice for the victims. Okay. You can't make unforced errors like this, simple mistakes that could open the door to reasonable doubt in one juror that could hang this trial or turn it into an acquittal. Okay. I don't know how many times I have to say that. And I'm sorry, but there are other forensic experts out there that are saying, I'm making much ado about nothing.
Yeah.
You don't know. You don't know that. You don't know
Nobody
what's going to go through the minds of the jurors as they're listening and seeing the evidence presented in this case. You don't know what their needs are going to be.
Yeah. And again, I'll say it 100 times till the sun comes down. There was no urgency and no need to take this house down. They could have kept it. They had full ownership of it. It was turned over by the homeowner, the property owner, to the University of Idaho. And all they had to do is just, Ed, think about it. Put a tarp over it. If it's that much of an eyesore, put a freaking tarp over it so people don't have to see it. They keep saying, well, the students have to be reminded of it. Well, if there's a blue tarp over it or a white tarp over it, nobody would see it. It would be covered. I don't know, man. Let's take a listen to this. And here we go. This is a homicide trial lawyer who comes on News Nation, and listen to what he has to say.
And while there is still no official date for Kohberger's murder trial, what are the implications of this demolition once the trial begins? Let's get to our legal panel tonight.
Ed, do you want to answer that so I can take it off the screen?
Sure. No, there's no such thing as an open and shut murder case. Okay.
Never.
Especially when you're dealing with a jury.
Yeah. Never.
Okay. No such thing.
Never. Thank you for that question, Little Patty. And Little Patty, thank you for being in WFLA today. I was in there moderating with JB today, and we're going to play a little bit of his live stream. He had some excellent coverage, although people were mad that that he wasn't showing the angles of the front. We showed the front angles here. So let's take a listen and let us know what your thoughts are on the demo of 1122 King Road. We have the poll up. Press a 1 if you agree with the demo. Press a 2, and put that in the chat, and your vote will count. Press a 1 if you agree. Press a 2 if you disagree with the demo. So let's let that rip, and everybody let your vote count.
Misty Maris, trial attorney and legal analyst, and former homicide prosecutor Matt Murphy. Welcome, both of you. And Matt, we'll start with you tonight. A trial date, as we said, not yet set. It could take place next summer. And still, the families of two of the victims made this last-minute plea yesterday, asking the university to wait until the trial was completed. Did their voices ultimately not matter here?
Yeah, I think that's well put. To the university, it didn't matter. And look, I've done a lot of death penalty cases. The university, in effect, in my opinion, is interfering with this process. You know, when they talk about healing, what does that mean? For the students to heal, the people they should be worried about most are the victims' families, who also are victims in this. Those are the people that need to heal. The university has previously said they want to build a park there. It's not like they need the money or the income. And they've created an appellate issue. The defense they didn't object, but it's going to be an entire new defense team in the appellate process. Bryan Kohberger is going to be convicted of this. He's going to be sentenced to death. And the very first thing that the appellate team is going to do is they're going to accuse the defense team of what is known as IAC, or ineffective assistance of counsel, for not objecting to the destruction of this house. And if it
Ed.
Ineffective assistance of counsel. They're saying basically that the defense team was incompetent and should have stopped this.
And there we have it. Let's let the rest of this play. This infuriated me when I listened to this, but this guy knows what he's talking about.
Creates one bit convicted of this, he's going to be sentenced to death. And the very first thing that the appellate team is going to do is they're going to accuse the defense team of what is known as IAC, or ineffective assistance of counsel, for not objecting to the destruction of this house. And if it creates one bit of additional angst for any of these families, the university should have put the brakes on this. They don't know what they're doing on this. They don't do capital case litigation. I cannot criticize them strongly enough.
The University of Idaho does not know what they're doing with this, because they do not deal with this type of situation. They have no knowledge of this. And they think it's a kumbaya. I want to make it nice for our students and for the people. And let's just, if it's not there, it never happened. That's bullshit. And that's a
oh, hell no.
a times 100. I could hit that button 100 times on that statement. So let's go back and we'll take a listen to the rest of what they had to say, and listen and look at all these people here, the three people on the screen, but especially the bottom two. They're both nodding their heads in agreement.
And if it creates one bit of additional angst for any of these families, the university should have put the brakes on this. They don't know what they're doing on this. They don't do capital case litigation. I cannot criticize them strongly enough.
Interesting. I mean, Misty, over to you. I think one of the big questions, besides any further evidence, was a jury visit potentially, if that could make a difference to stand in that house for the jury. Now, prosecutors said that the condition of the house is so different from 2022 that Idaho law wouldn't allow a jury visit. Misty, do you agree with that? Can a jury visit make a huge impact here, like we saw in the Alec Murdaugh case?
Yeah, Natasha, I'm surprised that the prosecution would concede that at this point in the case. Whether or not the jury is going to go to the site, that can be a critical component and something that can help the jury understand what the arguments are and how the prosecution's theory of the case is laid out. Specifically in this case, it's even more relevant. We're talking about a 3-story home where murders occurred on the 3rd story, 2 on the 3rd story, 2 on the 2nd story, and then an exit on the 1st floor. The layout of the home, where the stairs are located, what can be seen and heard inside, how it's all set up. That is a critical piece of information that will have to be filled in at trial. And the best way to do so is to have the jurors actually see where this took place. Now, prosecutors might have had an argument, but the defense may have raised an argument to say, okay, there's prejudice because the home has been altered. There's been extensive chemical application. But to concede that now, before we know where the trial is going, and making that decision as the case unfolds, was truly shocking to me. And I do think a potential mistake, once it's gone, it's gone. You can never go back.
Ron, pause it.
Do you believe that this demolition benefits?
Go ahead, Ed.
What state law prohibits them from taking the jury back? I don't know no such law in New York that does that. that prohibit. I mean, could the defense, like, if the jury came back in deliberations and said to the judge, "We would like to go to the scene," yeah, they're going to have a sidebar between defense and the prosecution, and there's going to be, arguments made in for and against taking people out to the scene, and the judge makes the final decision on whether or not that happened. Yes, has the crime scene been altered? Yeah. To what degree? I don't know. I mean, our whole wall's missing. Our whole floor section's missing. I doubt it, because they kept going back there. If it was a safety issue, then that would be, you wouldn't be having people keep going back there and scanning and doing.
Yeah, the
all kinds of
safety
things.
issues, the safety issues would not come into play here, because you had the defense we saw go in there. You saw the FBI go in there. First, I'll set it up. First, it was the FBI. Then you saw the defense team go in there. Then you saw Thompson, Bill Thompson and company. They went in there as well. So 3 sets of people in the last 30 days have gone in there and spent hours in that. We saw the FBI that day, me, you, and Luke Hall from former Faro Industry representative. And we're going to get into the Faro 3D laser scanners and how it's admissible in court. Ed, go ahead. What do you got?
Yeah, but here's the point. Okay, taking evidence out of the crime scene alters the crime scene. Absolutely. But it has to be taken out because it's part of a criminal investigation. But all the other alterations, the furniture, the belongings, and all of that were removed, that's on law enforcement. There was no reason to rush to get that stuff out.
Absolutely.
Right? They altered that scene, and there was no real justification for it.
Yeah. I agree. I'm mad as hell. I'm mad as hell about this. But again, as they stated here, and as we've stated, once you do it, there's no oops, there's no do-overs. Once it's gone, it's gone. And if that becomes a sticking point, shame on the University of Idaho, shame on the prosecutor. You can't say shame on the defense, because it's good for them. This is a win. This is a win for them. That house demolished is a win for Kohberger's defense team.
And this is correct, caller. We cannot speak for any jurors that we do not know now. Okay?
Correct.
We can't. We can't speak. We don't know what their needs are going to be. We don't know what they're going to see, what they're going to hear, what they may request. We don't know. But we know they can't request to go back to the house now because it's not there.
Yeah. If you think if your guys are in agreement that this is a win for the defense, press a 1. If you feel it's not a win for the defense and it's no big deal, press a 2. I want to just see what our audience and what our people watching and the replay viewers, you can also chime in down below in the comments. And if you're not subscribed, hit the subscribe button, give us the thumbs up as we dive into the 1122 King Road demolition that occurred at 6:30 hours Moscow, Idaho time today, December 28th.
To be filled in at trial. And the best way to do so is to have the jurors actually see where this took place. Now, prosecutors might have had an argument, but the defense may have raised an argument to say, okay, there's prejudice because the home has been altered. There's been extensive chemical application. But to concede that now, before we know where the trial is going, and making that decision as the case unfolds was truly shocking to me. And I do think a potential mistake. Once it's gone, it's gone. You can never go back.
And Matt, do you believe that this demolition benefits Kohberger at trial, or does it hurt him?
Well, for the trial itself, and number one, as usual, I agree with Misty. Okay, I agree with everything she just said. But number one, it shouldn't make a difference, okay, because it's been processed. But he also has appellate rights here. And it's important to remember they're seeking the death penalty. It's the most severe penalty. The university owes him the due process of that being available. Okay, so this is where it's really going to benefit Mr. Kohberger is in the appellate process after the trial is done. That is something that is, for anybody that has actually participated in capital case litigation, I guarantee the entire country is scratching their heads at this one. This is a vanity project by the university with no real reason to do it when there's 100 reasons not to, and they went ahead and did it anyway. The fact that they did it over the objections of these families that are absolutely in the worst grief you can imagine is just astonishing to me.
That statement in itself mirrors what we just said. It's astonishing. This is somebody who doesn't have a dog in the fight, but has a lot of experience with homicide trials. And he finds it astonishing that the university would go ahead knowing that even one of the family members, Kaylee Gonzalez's family, didn't want it to happen. But you need to err on the side of justice. You need to pause for justice. And what the hell would have been the difference if this house stayed up? And like I said, there was a lot of options, Ed. You could have tarped that thing. You could have tarped it and nobody would have seen it. That was an option. And they didn't even discuss it. It wasn't even on. I didn't even hear one person talk about that. Crazy.
Again, I think a lot of it has to do with a lack of experience on the part of the prosecutor's office in handling high-profile cases of this magnitude.
Yeah, and this is worth a listen to again.
You know, they're putting all their eggs in one basket, and that egg in that basket is the tech. Their basket is the scans. Their basket is, the virtual reality and the model. But, that's all well and good. It's all well and good. It has its place, and I'm a proponent of that technology. I use it. I love it. I think it's great. I think it's great for the juror. But as a backup, leave that there. There was no reason to do this. There was no reason to do these scans. Yes, they don't give you sounds and creaks in staircases and creaks in doors. They don't give you the creaks in the floor. You don't get that. Okay, you don't get that, and that's something that could have been gleaned from a visit to the scene.
It's the only way you get it.
Right. And then, you can get the exterior view of scanning around the entire outside of the house. But then, it's not the same as, okay, BK was over here in his car and he was looking in this window from outside of the house.
Yeah.
Okay. And, we got all those records of cell phone records and his location records and geofencing that shows how many times he was here at this residence. Okay. And where he potentially could be conducting surveillance. Okay. It's all gone now. All gone. Yeah, we got photographs. Yeah, we got this. Yeah, we got that. If one juror, it only takes one.
Right. Yeah. Ed, if you can, tell the audience how many homicide scenes and how many crime scenes you processed in your time.
Over 2,700 crime scenes, major case crime scenes. I'm not talking joyriding or standard residential burglaries, major case crime scenes, sex crimes, homicides, things of that nature.
You're a crime scene evidence preservation expert. You know what it takes to preserve scenes like this. And to hear it from you that it's a mistake, and to hear it from other seasoned professionals, that to me is enough in itself. And it just confuses me unless there is some type of magical wand that the prosecution has and that we don't know about. Unless there's some type of golden nugget that is the end all, prevent all from anything happening. But the bottom line is like we said, it takes one juror to say, you know what, I can't make a decision unless I've seen it. What if 5 jurors say that? What if 2? What if, multiple say that? And then you're screwed. There's nothing that you could do. I'm going to let the rest of this play to the end. So it's just another minute and 5 seconds.
Available. Okay, so this is where it's really going to benefit Mr. Kohberger is in the appellate process after the trial is done. That is something that is for anybody that is actually participating in capital case litigation. I guarantee the entire country is scratching their heads at this one. This is a vanity project by the university with no real reason to do it when there's 100 reasons not to, and they went ahead and did it anyway. The fact that they did it over the objections of these families that are absolutely in the worst grief you can imagine is just astonishing to me.
I absolutely hear you. And Misty, I want to ask you about something that Nancy Liu was just reporting on, that the FBI did do 3D imaging of the house's interior and exterior in October to produce data, compelling data, accurate data that can be used at trial. Why is that not sufficient?
So first of all of those models, we expect them to be used, the videos, the photographs, the 3D renderings. First of all, the FBI is producing them, so the defense would have the opportunity to perhaps say they're not accurate. There could be objections there. There could be arguments related to the admissibility when it comes to the trial. But Natasha, it's as simple as one phrase, a song everybody knows. Ain't nothing like the real thing. It is much different to actually be at the premises than to see that unfold in the photographs.
Thanks so much for watching. Go to
All
join
right.
NN.
So that to me was an impressive interview, and that was earlier today. It was late in the afternoon, actually. You can't get this stuff back, and again, we keep saying it, but I want to go to the chats and the super chats that were coming in. Yorkie Mama, thank you for being a member for 15 months. DC Prime says, good evening, DC Prime Time. Our good friend Jeff Litweiler and Eileen, his wonderful wife, says, I have an Ed question. Ever seen anything as insane as this?
No.
That's a
No.
that was a definitive no. And no, you're saying that no like that. Why?
Because this is ridiculous. There is no justification whatsoever to have done this. And I'd like to know who approached who about the possession of the house. Did the owner of the house go to the university and say, okay, you want to buy this? Or did the university go to the owner of the house and say, we'll buy this from you? Okay. And the prosecution, like I said, if you're gonna err, you err on the side of caution. And caution says keep the goddamn house.
It's sad. It's just it's a sad situation that this had to go down like this. And I thought, honestly, Ed, and you can chime in anytime you want, but I thought there was going to be a last minute stay. I thought that either the prosecutor would have said, hey, wait a minute, or just somebody would have stepped up and said, you know what, this is the wrong decision. But I was so sad at 6:30 a.m. Moscow, Idaho time to see that they started this thing. And here you could see how dark it was. I have it going quicker to let it run through. I have it, I'll slow it down a little bit, but you could see it was dark when they did that. And Lauren Vandever says, I didn't know they started earlier than scheduled. Yeah, 30 minutes before. They said at 7. I believe they started around 6:30-ish. That screams red flag to me. I'm not so sure about the red flag because they're not hiding anything. They're doing it. It's not like they did it, under, with tarps up and stopping everybody's views. There's nothing to me red flag about them starting early. What's troubling to us is that they in fact went ahead and did this. That's the crazy part.
What was it costing the university to keep the house there? What was it costing? Nothing.
Zero.
No utilities, no water bills, maybe some taxes, right? Because they're now the owner of the property. Okay. Put a big fence up around the property. If you didn't want to pay for the security guard there, that's fine. Put a big fence up around, put some security cameras up, right? No trespass signs, and just leave the house until after trial. Okay. And you want to put blackout fence there so that people can't come in or walk and see in. Okay, fine. I mean, really, I don't get it. I don't get this whole thing about healing and all of this stuff.
It's not a kumbaya. It's about justice, and I keep saying it till I'm blue in the face. It's about justice. Schmitty sends in a $10 super chat, and she says the time they started, it has an in-your-face feel. Like it's gone now. People move on, which will not and should not ever happen. Lack of experience, lack of foresight. Amen, Schmitty. Amen.
So I see in the chat that people saying it costs $700 a week for security. Well, you didn't need that security. As I said, put a fence up around the property and put some security cameras up,
and that's
right?
it.
And that's it.
Yeah. Floating River sends in a $5 super chat and says, went to University of Idaho. Most students went to U of I. Most students do not pass the house. Hold on. Most students do not pass the House. I signed the petition / absurd decisions. In my opinion, the demo will not make new students feel better to attend. I mean, thank you for the super chat, and I appreciate you sharing your thoughts and your feelings on this. And yeah, you know, some people will agree to disagree. Ed, what did you have up there?
I didn't have anything up there.
Oh, okay. Somebody put up something.
Oh.
Judy sends in a $5 super chat, and she says, for example, famous Jeffrey McDonald murder case scene was sealed for 10 years. Thank you both for helping us process this. I felt despondent. Yeah. Curious Kiwi, thank you for the super chat. She sends in some New Zealand fundage, a very stupid move for supposedly University of Educated people. Yeah. Ignorant in my eyes, and not thinking about justice and for the families. That's who should be at the forefront. Xana Canodal, Ethan Chapin, Madison Mogan, and Kaylee Gonzalez. Burberry Venom sends in the $5 super chat. Removing furniture where there could be other DNA. Deleting house. Where's the jacket? What about the cops' cars that look like Elantras and all the other stuff there that was there at 3 a.m. It's all gone. Hope and happiness. It's normal for the chief. Is it normal for the chief of police to help remove all the private belongings and personally drive off with them in a U-Haul? We said this. We have, go and check our playlist. Ed and I did almost a 2-hour live stream with Barbara Butcher, retired chief of staff at New York City Medical Examiner's Office, legal medical death investigator. Ed, you can take that one.
No, it's not. It's not normal. Usually, you know, in the crime scene, when there's something that necessitates giving back to the family, usually a detective will escort the family member into the locale and have the family member retrieve that particular item. Okay. But what was necessity? What was the necessity for the furniture, the mattresses, the beds? What was the necessity to do this as fast as they did it? Why? There was no reason. There was no reason. And what did the family do with all this stuff? Did they have to get storage and put it in storage? I don't understand any of this. Okay. You know, and you know, people may say, oh, you're a drama queen or whatever the case may be. Well, no, I'm not a drama queen. I want to err on the side of caution and justice. Justice comes first, the rest comes last.
Yeah. And that's the whole thing, is that people lose grasp of this. It's not about people's feelings that have really nothing to do with this crime. The students that are there, yeah, they are students at the University of Idaho, but most of them don't even know these 4 victims. So the bottom line is that what the University of Idaho essentially said is that we care more about what our students feel than what the victims' families feel, and what these 4 that have no voice anymore, that were murdered, brutally murdered. We're just going to go ahead with this.
Is it the students, or is it the university? The faculty and the staff of the university? Is it them or the students? Who's actually pushing this?
They're stating, and we heard. I played the video. She stated that the students, they have to see it every day, and it's troubling to them.
And they don't have to see it every day. I'm sure not every student has to pass this location to get into the campus.
Yeah. Well, we want to know what your thoughts are. There's a poll in the chat. We were trying to pin it. It got buried in the chat, but if you scroll back in the chat, hopefully you'll be able to find the poll. Kristen was able to put the poll up, but we didn't pin it. So maybe we'll start a new poll and then pin the new poll. But
somebody said the poll was backwards.
Oh, really? Okay. No, we did an official polling poll, not what I was asking everyone to press the 1 and the 2. So I had Kristen make a poll, and she posted it in the chat, but I didn't tell her to pin it, so it just got, and the chat's going fast. So so what you're looking at here on the screen, folks, we'll go full screen with this, is a from beginning to end demolition from the side angle. That's the front of the home at 1122 King Road. And there's no water being sprayed on this thing. They're just like going at it and just taking it apart. Ed, I know you know about things like this.
Yeah, I rented a smaller version of
Yeah.
machine like that, and I took down the house next to my property in New Jersey, where I bought a zombie house left over from Superstorm Sandy. I bought that lot in the house, and the house was not survivable and not being able to repair the house. I took it to the ground. I rented one of these things and took it down.
Yeah. So this is a larger one, and they did this in under 2 hours. It went really fast, and if I push this forward, you're going to see it's going to become daylight here. And as you could see a little bit better now as the as the sun starts to come up in Moscow, Idaho. Again, 2 hours. I'm sure that the surrounding homes here that we're looking at from this angle were probably either vacant or they asked the people to leave for safety reasons. Because, what if this house took fell to the right and the left? I know that didn't happen, but I'm sure that they asked everyone to vacate. And the kids are on that holiday break. So everybody's home. And that was one of the things that they said is why they were going to do it now. So here we have it. I mean, I have a couple of other different angles, but I'm going to fast forward it a little bit more. They took apart that front facade and then they worked their way to the back. And at the end, he just basically takes this piece of machinery and just takes down the roof. We saw the top part of this. I'm going to fast forward it to that part here. He just takes it and just slams it down, and it just comes crumbling down. It was very sad to see this, and not sad in a sense where I was sad because of the potentiality for a problem to occur in the future. And I hope and pray, Ed, and I'm sure you feel the same way. We hope and pray that this doesn't come into play. But why? It's just they had to have received so many inquiries and letters, and people were writing to University of Idaho President Scott Green. I wrote an email to him about a week ago, pleading with them to reconsider. I never got a response, but I did send an inquiry.
I signed a petition.
Yeah, I signed it as well, but it just didn't matter. So let's go to the chat. Elisa says, University of Idaho overstepping. That's an argument. Yeah, totally. Yeah, you could see these are the rooms where these heinous murders took place, and they're just ripping it down. Ed, there was a couple of questions in the chat about evidence. Like, I feel like obviously this is no longer a crime scene, but this is the scene of the crime, and this is where the crime happened. People were saying that they're damaging and tearing down evidence. I have to ask you, because you're an expert at evidence collection and crime scenes, is there a potentiality for any evidence here? And if so, how remote is it?
It's tough to say if was any, do I feel I got 100% of the evidence? No, you never really get 100% of the evidence. There's things that get altered and destroyed in the initial response to the scene. And so like things like footwear impressions, hair and fibers, they're trace transfer evidence, things move. Do I think BK hid the knife in here? I doubt it. If anything, he took it and he dumped it along the route someplace, secreted it. I don't think he left it in the house or stuck it in an air vent or something like that. But the house, as you said, is the crime scene, not necessarily the evidence. Okay. But it's gone. There goes. That's it.
Yeah. Yep. Down, gone. never to be, you can't get it back. So I'm looking for the pinned poll. I don't.
And there was a question earlier. Yeah, there was a question in the chat earlier. Did someone actually say that I was a drama queen? And I said, yeah, they did.
Interesting. I must have missed that. And
No,
again,
that wasn't here. That was in our family. That was, I was telling you offline. I was been debating with all these
oh, right.
other
Gotcha.
people.
Gotcha. All right. So I have a couple of other things that I want to play here. So I want to get to them. Ed, if you can scan the chat, I want to go to the chat and take your questions. Hashtag DutyRon, hashtag Ed. Give us your questions, your thoughts. And I'm going to grab, I'm going to grab this piece right here. This is the day before the 1122 King Road is set for demo, and this is a local station. Let's just play this because Gonzalez's father, Steve, is on here.
The house where 4 University of Idaho students were brutally stabbed to death last November will be demolished today. Some of the parents, though, of the victims are urging to stop the demo, but the university argues that the demo is necessary to help the community heal from those brutal murders. Our Brenda Rodriguez joins us live from Moscow right now with the latest. Brenda.
Yeah, well, Justin, that's right. The demolition is starting here at 7 o'clock this morning, and we are actually just getting word right now to start clearing off the street. And we also saw a couple of trucks, dump trucks, to be exact, just pulling up here. Some other crew members and police have shown up here on scene to get that started. It's going to last about 6 to 8 hours, depending on how far crews can get here, but in lasting the next couple of days and into the New Year's. But right now, again, we're starting to clear off. We're seeing a little bit more activity. We're going to show you what the scene looked like yesterday here on your screen in just a second. In a statement yesterday, the Gonzalez family urged the prosecutor's office and university to stop the demolition and urge for a trial date to be set. And as we reported last week, the state of Idaho is requesting the trial of Bryan Kohberger be scheduled for next summer and last 6 weeks. But again, nothing is set. The house is one of the victims' parents says is one of the most critical pieces of evidence in the
Did you say something, Ed?
case.
No, not me.
They tear it down, and one jury member says, I wanted to see that place. I wanted to go inside there. I had questions that couldn't be answered. Then they'll be held accountable. When your child dies, they don't just die once. They die every time that you wake up. So, it's terrible that you have to wait this long to have justice.
And there you hear it right straight from her dad. And that was this morning. And he's right. And, again, we say it over and over again during the course of this live stream. It's about these victims. It's about their families. It's about justice.
And as a reminder, the house was given to the university by the previous owners. U of I's executive director of communications, Jody Walker, says that tearing down the house has always been the plan. Now more than ever, she says that students and community members have expressed their support. Walker says the university made the decision after receiving a response and waiting from the prosecutor saying that there was, quote, no further need for the house. And again, this was all in written form that they received that from.
So she's saying the prosecutor, Ed, said there's no further need for this. I hope and pray. I hope to God that Bill Thompson just doesn't come back to bite him in the ass.
No. He made the call.
The final access to the house earlier this month. And since it's winter break for the students, Walker says it's the best time to tear down the house while students are away. And again, Justin, demolition starts at 7 o'clock, lasting 6 to 8 hours.
So they said 7 o'clock and it happened at 6:30.
Starting to see more police presence here. And crews are starting to get to work here, but
so there you have it, Ed. I wanted to make this a little bit of a town hall meeting. So I feel very strongly that our community, our live chatters, our replay viewers, and all the folks who are here should have a chance to come up and express their thoughts. I want to let everybody know, we want to keep this brief, and it's going to be the last 15 minutes of the show. If you come on, you're going to engage your camera. We got to see who you are. And when you come into the studio, if you want to disengage your camera, you could do that. I'm going to share the link in the chat. And again, keep it pertaining to questions of either evidence or the destruction of the demolition of 1122 King Road. And again, I want to thank everybody for being civil in the chat, because we all have varying difference of opinions here. Not all of us will be on the same page, and I get that, and I respect it, and I appreciate it. But when you look at the people who have the experience, like Ed Wallace, like myself, like experienced trial attorneys that we heard from, you have to listen to these folks, because they've been doing this. They've been walking this walk and talking this talk and doing it. Ed's processed, thousands and thousands, thousands of crime scenes. And he knows how this stuff goes. He's testified in trials. He's testified as expert witnesses, as an expert witness. So what do you got up on the screen, Ed?
Well, Kelly asked, there were reports that the house was ripped apart and basically gutted inside. Well, could that be true? And from what I just seen with the excavator there taking the house down, no, that wasn't true at all.
Yeah. And could you elaborate on that?
Yeah, because once they started taking walls down, you could see inside the house. You could see the floor systems. You could see the walls. You could see, things were still there. The staircase, it wasn't gutted. It was, the floor was still there. And like, as I said, the walls, the stairs, things were still there.
Yeah. Amy, thank you so much for the $5 super chat. And Jojo, thank you for being a member for 21 months. Wow. A very long time member, Jojo. We are trained by the best, Ed Wallace. This was such a mistake. Amen to that, sister. Amen. Naomi sends in a super chat, and she says they did this because the Christmas holiday. So now the process in court for Bryan Kohberger should be in summer of 2024, in my opinion. Naomi, again, anyone's guess is as good as the next. We don't know. They are talking about a potential. There was a request for a trial of summer 2024. So that is correct. I read that. Jeff sends in a $2 super chat and says Elaine needs to talk to Ed. Worked for UVM. Okay, send an email, send a correspondence, and we'll get it over to Ed. Barbara, thank you so much. Ooh, Beckfest. Oh, I hope she calls in. Beckfest always gives such great her perspective from somebody who's following this thing closely. But what do you got there, Ed?
Well, she just said, I just joined, but do they have the debris in a specific place now, and will they go through it for the last time? It's the property of the university, okay, and it was removed as demo material, and I doubt that's going to happen. I doubt they have any law enforcement there that's going to be going through any of this.
I heard a report today, and that was again from News Nation, and they said that the debris is going to go to a undisclosed location, and it's going to be guarded because of ghouls. These are the reporter's word, ghouls who are trying to get a piece of this 1122 King Road as some type of memento or whatever. So that was from Nancy Liu. So let's take a listen to what she had to say about that. I think this is it. Yes, this is it. Let's let this play.
Moscow, Idaho, with the very latest. Nancy, set the scene for us.
Well, Nick and Marky, this is actually happening early. We did not expect demolition to start until the top of the hour, and it actually started quite a few minutes ago. You can see that the whole front section of the house is almost gone. The excavator came in and started working probably 5-10 minutes ago and started on the front section of the house. That fencing came down quickly. It's coming down very quickly. And as we've been telling you earlier, the university had said that this could be down by the end of the day. There will be dump trucks coming and going and removing all of this debris. It's going to a site out of the city. And I'm told that even the debris will be under guard, given how much morbid interest there has been in this case. But you can see that excavator at work.
There you have it, Mr. Wallace. So yeah, I did my homework on this. So we have,
play it again. Play that again.
she said there's morbid.
I can't believe. Yeah, play it again because I couldn't believe what I just heard.
The debris will be here. The university had said that this could be down by the end of the day. There will be dump trucks coming and going and removing all of this debris. It's going to a site out of the city. And I'm told that even the debris will be under guard, given how much morbid interest.
So they're going to guard it, but you couldn't sit a guard in front of the home.
Right. Does that make sense? Come on. It's blowing my mind now. This is total ridiculousness.
It's going to cost the same, if not more, because now you can't put a regular security guard on that. They're going to be guarding it with one of their police personnel.
Well, I don't know. It's the university's property. Why would the police have anything to do with it now?
Under guard.
Unbelievable.
Okay. All right. So we have someone from the area, and I want to get her thoughts and her questions. And there's people waiting. There's a couple of people. So I'm going to add Cindy in to the chat, and I see Kristen's in the room, and she's saying no. Okay, fine. I get it, Kristen. Okay, that's cool. Good. Cindy, welcome. You know, a lot of emotions, a lot of feelings here. You could see we're you and I spoke this week, and just yesterday actually we got cut off, but we talked on the phone, and
yeah.
You know, I gave you my thoughts on this, so I'd like to hear yours as a former resident of Moscow, Idaho, now living in Pullman. What's your thoughts?
I guess I see I have so I'm trying lipstick. This is something new. I don't normally do this. I think I have to I love you guys, but I have to agree to disagree, and I know that you're open to that.
Yeah.
Only because of the unbelievable faith I have in Bill Thompson. And also the faith I have in you, believe it or not. Like I've been commenting like crazy. And Ed, you have shown us about the 3D imaging. Ron, you have taught me so much with the guests that you have on. And Ron and I talked this week, and he explained some stuff to me because I had questions, and I actually texted him. I am hopeful. I'm not confident, but I am hopeful that if there's an appeal, and we didn't talk about that, Ron. I hadn't thought about the appeal. I am hopeful. Bill Thompson has been the Latah County prosecuting attorney since 1992. He's gotten an enormous amount of awards. He graduated from U of I College of Law in 1980. I know he's an amazing human being, and I have not seen him in any video that he's been on, not be completely steadfast in what he believes in. When he's in there, Kohberger's in there smiling, him and his attorneys are giggling, and Bill's been incredibly professional. And so I'm hoping upon hope that the decision that they have made, and I'm not blaming it all on U of I, because I feel like although they might have some say in it, we have a really small community here. I know I've told you guys this a number of times. I'm thinking that Bill would not agree to this without unbelievable amounts of faith in what they have. So going back to the fact that we might only have a small amount of evidence, you know, what's available to us as a public is smaller than what they have. And what you have said, Ron and Ed, about that car being a rolling crime scene, we don't know what's in the car. So
right. We don't know the totality of all the evidence, but I have this to say. And I love you, and I love our conversation. And stuff like that. Bill Thompson, in all of his experience, has never prosecuted a quadruple murder in his entire career. And this is the crime of his career. And this is a crime of Moscow, Idaho's. Hopefully, they never see anything worse than this. But anything is possible. But right now, he is in uncharted waters. And what he did here, I'll let you go, Ed. Just let me finish. what he did here was completely unnecessary. He could have just erred on the side of caution and said, you know what? I'm not taking one bit of a chance. I am going to try to preserve that location at all costs, because I don't care what kind of backlash I get from the U of I. I don't give a shit what backlash I get from anybody, because I have a job to do. And my only job is to get justice for Xana Kanotal, Ethan Chapin, Madison Mogan, and Kaylee Gonzalez and their families. And that is it. And that's why I'm so hopped up about it. And you know what, Cindy, don't take this personally, but
I don't.
he definitely made, this is a career decision that he made, and he should have just went to sleep on this and said, you know what, I'm going to pump the brakes on this because I have the authority to do it. I'm going to pump the brakes and I'm just going to keep it, because now, as Ed just said, and as the reporter just said, you got to have someone babysitting all of the debris from this house. So you're in the same predicament. And my thoughts of tarping that house, you tarp that house, nobody's going to see it. It's not even going to be there. White tarp over it, done. That wasn't even discussed.
Ed, I want to let you talk first, and then I'll say something.
Let Ed go, and then we'll come back to you. All right,
Yeah,
Ed, go ahead.
Well, Cindy,
sure, of course.
yes, Cindy, yeah, I respect what you're saying, and I love the fact that you have such great faith in the prosecutor. That's awesome. But think of this as keeping the house as an insurance policy,
Right.
as a backup. He definitely feels he's got a very strong case. I get that, and he's relying heavily on tech. You know, some of this, many of you are too young to know this, but back during the Vietnam War. Okay, and our Air Force transitioned to jets, away from jets having guns to relying on jets with just missiles. And during the beginning of the Vietnam War, these missiles weren't working correctly. So they were relying so heavily on this tech, and it was causing members of our Air Force to lose their lives because they weren't working properly. And they never outfitted the F-4 Phantom with guns, just rockets. And then they had to build a gun pod to attach to the jet. Same thing here. Don't have it as insurance policy. Have it as a backup. And it's a card that you have. You're holding on to that card. You may not have to play that card, but now you can't play it.
I totally get it. And I'm thinking about, so like we're all around the same age, give or take a few years, and I'm very old school. And, I worked at the U of I College of Law. I never met Bill. But when I was there, people who are not from here, and I mean, I grew up in New York. You guys all know this. Never heard of Idaho till I came out here. You would think going to someplace like U of I College of Law, people would be like, oh, Podunk, Idaho. But the people who work at that law school, the former lawyers, that work at that law school, have, they're just as good as anywhere in the country. And, that just comes from my personal experience, knowing their experience, listening to the students who attended there that I worked with that would say, I've interacted with peers from Harvard, and their law degree is no different from mine, Ivy League, whatever. So there's that. But I understand what you're saying, Ed, and I am totally old school. But ironically, what I have learned on this show about how they're going to vacuum out that car, or how they already have the 3D imaging, that knowledge you guys have given me has given me faith. So that's one. But two, and I don't know, I haven't lived in New York since I was 20. I've never been to Long Island or anything because I'm very much a country girl.
Did you say Long Island?
Yes, of course. I'm going to say it right.
She did.
Long Island. But I want to tell you this, and I don't know how big the communities are. I know, Ron, you're basically Long Island is a small kind of area. I just want to reiterate, and it's not a disagreement, and I love that we can talk about this because I do love you guys, and I don't take any of this personally. All night I've been listening, going, I can't wait to talk to you. This town, this area is like none other I've ever lived in, and I've lived in a couple of places. I don't know, because like I said, I'm hoping upon hope that everything that I'm thinking about Bill Thompson, with all of his experience, and even I don't know anything about Ann Taylor. I don't know what her inside is, versus what she outside feels. But like the jail we have here, and I've sent Ron pictures of it, it's like a high school cafeteria. Like it's tiny, right, compared to anything you guys have experienced. Yes, we had the it wasn't a sniper shooting. It was actually a domestic that happened back in like 2005.
Murder, suicide, double, right? Yep.
Yeah. Then we had the young man who went and shot up the Arby's and shot up his landlord, and then there was horrible Kathy Benoit. There was a professor that shot her and committed suicide, killed himself. So like we've had some things, never quadruple murder, and I understand all of what you're saying.
And that's what this is. I want to answer this question too. And I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut you off. Because Janet Lynn said something really important here. She said, Ron, I'm curious about what changed your mind with regard to demolishing the house. Last year, you were talking about the 3D imaging. You said it wasn't necessary to have the house.
I don't think you ever said that.
No, she's right. I did say that. But I talked with, hold on, I gotta put my boy full screen. I talked with this guy right here, Ed Wallace. And Ed Wallace schooled me, Janet.
Yes, he did.
And you know what? Guess what? I also spoke with Luke Hall, the representative from Faro. And when I had a conversation with him, he also made me feel like, you know what? The 3D laser scanner from Faro with the 3D laser with the 3D goggles, that is all admissible in court, and it's been going on. Ed, you remember him saying this? It's not new technology. It's very technology that gets fine-tuned year in and year out, but it's been around for, he said, I think a decade, right, Ed, or more?
I remember that.
So they've been using 3D laser scanners for a long time. And Ed, you're a professional at this,
Well, it's been it's been around for more than a decade, yeah.
So then there you go. It's not like news reporters. I heard JB saying it today, and I also heard the lawyer, came on, Peter Tragos, and he was like, oh, I don't know about this, and it's new, and it's, they're just, but no, that's not true. That's not the case. So Janet, thank you for sending that message. And that's what made me change, because even I don't claim to know it all. I never claim to know it all. I'm going to go full screen. I learn things every day. And Ed says every day is a learning day. So I learn from the best. I learn from the people who I'm around. And I thought that it was okay at one point to get rid of the house, that we didn't need it. But once I got this schooling, and once I got this education, I was like, no.
Oh, hell no.
So that's what happened. Let's listen to this, because Bill Thompson makes a statement here.
Alves were found stabbed to death in a home near the University of Idaho. Today, the university is set to begin demolition of that house. Kaylee Gonzalez's family has protested the demolition from the start, fearing that key evidence could be lost before a trial even begins.
If they tear it down and one jury member says, I wanted to see that place, I wanted to go inside there, I had questions that couldn't be answered.
Now the family reaching out directly to the prosecutor's office and the university in a statement titled, Please Stop the Demolition of the King Road Home. In it, listing their reasons why the house should stay standing. Among them, vantage points of the surviving roommates. What could they see? Dylan Mortensen stated Kohberger walked past her. The Gonzalez is asking, how far away was Dylan when she says she saw him, and why didn't he see her? What windows could suspect Bryan Kohberger see in from where he was parked? What can you hear inside the house? The University of Idaho telling NBC News in part, we feel certain that now is the right time to move forward with the healing that comes with the demolition. And sharing an email they say came from the prosecutor's office, which states in part, based on our review of Idaho case law, the current condition of the premises is so substantially different than at the time of the homicides that a jury view would not be authorized.
I got to get it.
You don't know. He doesn't know that per se. Unless there was some kind of discussion with the judge that we're not aware of. Okay. And if that was the case, then why did they let the FBI go back in October to do additional scans? Because they already had their initial scans from the crime scene at the beginning of the crime scene investigations done by the state and locals. So is there a great difference between when the FBI went in October and today?
He's not saying he believes it. He's saying Idaho case law. And I was saying in the chat, Idaho law still now today, if you Google infidelity Idaho law, it will say that infidelity in a marriage is against the law, according to Idaho law. So I'm just going to say that even though he's not telling us what the law is, I don't know necessarily if this is out of bill or if this is out of the case law and they've got some kind of a thing. But again, I don't necessarily think that demolishing the house was a good idea. I definitely don't think that. However, 3 of those comments that Gonzalez just made don't jive with me. One of them does. We can't hear. We'll never hear the acoustics because the house is gone. However, we've seen over the last year all of those 3D videos that show what supposedly took place. And you and I both know that when DM saw him but he didn't see her, we've talked about it. Profiles have talked about it. He was in a state of adrenaline like overload and probably didn't see her because he was getting the F out of Dodge. I don't think that's going to be told with the house there. That's a personal behavioral thing. But I want to say that
that's not going to be told by the.
Believe it's a great idea to. I don't disagree with it, but I don't agree with it. I guess I'm kind of just. I'm kind of in a limbo, you guys. But I trust you both, and I trust them.
You know, and Cindy, I value you're a local, and I value your opinion. I value everyone's opinion, and I respect everyone's thoughts. I respect everybody's thoughts. So, like I said, everyone's not going to be on the same page. And like you said in the beginning when you first came on, we can agree to disagree. And I love that we can have an intelligent conversation as adults and not, say, well, it's my way or the highway. And it is what it is. We hope and pray for justice, and that's what we do.
Yeah, and I just want to say one last thing. I always think 2 things can be true at the same time. It could be a bad idea, and it might not turn out the way we want, which I really, really hope it does.
Yeah.
Or it might be an okay idea and things might turn out all right. Like, I know we don't know for sure, and you have way more experience at this than I do. I'm just saying that this little town is not black and white. It's super complex and complicated. And I love that we can still be friends. It's great. I love you guys. I love your show. I'm a supporter, and I hope that we'll see, won't we, eventually?
You're good. We're going to follow this case right straight through to
I'm praying that this does not impact this case and we get the justice for these 4.
Yeah.
Me too.
Thank you, Cindy. Thank you, Cindy.
I love you guys.
All right. Love you too. See you soon.
Bye, Ed.
Bye. All right. So there we go. I wanted to put on a little thing because I gave Ed Wallace I used your statement. So Ed, don't be mad at me, but this is from JB today.
I know they're going through your minds. They're going through mine. And this is part of streaming. This is part of talking back and forth, admitting that we are asking the same questions here. DutyRon, hey, see, he's in the chat. And give DutyRon's channel a follow, you guys. He helps us out moderating our comment section. It's better to have it, not need it, than need it, not have it. Is that not the emblem for the opposition in this case? People who are shaking their heads today at the outcome that we have with the house being demolished. This is basically the bumper sticker for it.
Ed, you created the bumper sticker for this.
And you plagiarized. Just kidding.
Oh, boy. Beckfest, I'm waiting for you to come on up and hang out with us. Beckfest. Come on up. So come up and give us a little chat. Kristen put up a poll, and I want to get the results of that poll. So if you guys see the poll in the chat, make sure you vote, and we'll give you the results of that poll. Unless we have results already, Kristen, if you're going to give me a thumbs up or thumbs up, do you want to come on and tell us the results of the poll? You ready? Okay. All right. So strictly the results of the poll. Beckfest says she's doing bath time with her children. So bath time, she can't come up. All right, Kristen, you're gonna have to close the poll then to get the results, or is it closed already? No, it's not closed. Okay. All right. Hi, Kristen.
Hi, give me 2 seconds. I have to end it, but I didn't want to lose it, so I figured I better just take a screenshot of it too.
Because I already pinned the Streamyard for people to come in, and I guess people are just checking and nobody else wanted to come up, and that's why I gave Cindy so much airtime, because nobody was waiting. If I had somebody else waiting, I would have put them on. So what's the result of the poll before Ed starts pulling the hair out of his head?
Well, first, I'll go with Ed and pull a little hair out. Okay. The results of the poll, I added something in, and I added in a don't think it'll matter. Just because I was curious, like how many people, don't really care yes or no, but don't think it'll matter at all.
Throw it up on the screen? Oh, no. All right, forget it. That's fine. Just give us... No. I was thinking we could share it on the screen.
I took it at exactly 1,000 views. Okay. So 1,000 votes. 87% said we shouldn't have done it. They should have kept it. Now, 5% agree and say, yep, for whatever reason, the victim's family, closure, there's so many reasons, and that's a personal choice, and everyone's going to have it, right? But 8% said it didn't matter.
8%. All right. So, but how many total votes did we have for that?
1,000 on the money.
Okay. So 1,000 people voted out of over 2,000 that are here. Again, if you feel that you feel that the demolition of this 1122 King Road was warranted, your vote matters, and here you have the results of it. Overwhelming, 87%, and then the rest is just folks who didn't matter either way to them. JB did a great stream. It was 2 hours and 43 minutes, and he covered everything from beginning to end. Kristen, thank you for doing the poll, and then next time we got to pin it as soon as we put it up there. So
I did pin it. I don't know. I mean, this technology
thing.
I
couldn't see it. But it might have been on my end, though. So great job with that. And thank you for everything that you do here. Kristen is our behind-the-scenes gal now, and she took over Josh's position like it was no tomorrow. So she's making Josh proud. So.
Oh, I don't know. I yelled at Josh earlier. I was like, I don't remember how to do this, Josh. And the next thing I know, there was the button, and toodaloo, we were done.
Look, people are sticking up. I saw it in twice. Thank you. All right, great job, Kristen. We'll talk to you.
All right. Hey guys, thank you. Thanks everybody for watching. And hey, prayers to the victims. Don't forget that. That's who matters in the end.
Thank you. All right, so there she goes. Thank you for all that hard work from behind the scenes. Kristen is always doing stuff for us. All right, again, Ed, like I said, we've weighed in here for an hour and 25 minutes. So again, it's about the victims and their families. And Ed, I want to go to you for final thoughts on this.
Well, it's an unforced error, and that's all I'll say. It was an insurance card that you could have kept in your pocket and held on to until the end, because you don't know what a jury may want or need or ask for. You're relying heavily on the tech. I get the tech. I love the tech, but it's always nice to have that insurance. Okay. It's always nice to have a backup. Remember what I said too in previous episodes, right? 1 is none and 2 is 1.
Yeah. Bingo. And again, if you want to continue this conversation in the comment section, we encourage you guys to leave us comments down below in the comment section. You can continue to vote in the comment section. you know, and you could let us know what you think and what your thoughts are. I have to say this, the super chatters, the replay viewers, the mod squad, there's so many people, and I want to highlight some of these. Here's a super sticker. Thank you for that, $4.99. Gifting memberships is always a great way to say hello to new members. Cheryl, thank you for your gifted membership. Dee's Creative Hand Crochet sent in $5. She said they should wait until after the trial, but it's too late. I'm afraid one wrong move like this could help him walk. Shaking my head, and we hope and pray that that's not the case. But again, it's too late. It's done. Amy, thank you for the super chat. And Jojo, thank you for being a member for 21 months. I think we're caught up. Ed, one of your favorites, Sleuthy Goosey, sent me a couple of things on social media. And one of them was the Idaho legislature amends sex crimes section of the law, and it's highlighted. So we'll get into this in our next live about this. But thank you, Sleuthy, for sending that in to me. She's always ready to jump in and add extra to the conversation, and I really appreciate that. This is what this is about, these victims right here. Justice for these four: Zaina Knodel, Ethan Chapin, Madison Mogan, and Kaylee Gonzalez. And I'll say that again, time and time again, this was a humongous mistake, and we hope and pray that this didn't screw up anything for the process of justice. The wheels of justice are spinning, and we have a long, long road to justice. And I'm hoping that this is not something that's going to stop it from happening. Again, if you're not yet subscribed, consider subscribing. We're getting close to 200,000 subscribers. That means this community is strong. And with you guys here and subscribing and engaging in this community, you're what makes it a great place. And Ed and I, thank you for your support and your confidence in us and what we do. We try to do the best that we can. We're only human beings, but we thank you, and we take you and everything that you guys say. We take everything that you say, and we put it together, and we give you the best that we can on our live streams and our shows. None of this is scripted. All of this is from our experience, and that's what makes it really, really cool, is that we're giving to you our experience live and unscripted. Ed, you're in a hotel room. You got Army training in the morning. I want to thank you for joining us. And if we don't go live before the New Year's, I want to wish each and every one of you a happy, safe, and healthy, prosperous New Year. Hopefully 2024, and we hear this quite often, is better than 2023. We always want to better ourselves in the new year. So hopefully 2024 treats you guys all a little bit better. Isn't that right, Ed?
Yes, ma'am. Amen. Amen to that. Okay.
Excellent. All right. On behalf of Crime Time and Duty. What? Go ahead. You got something?
No, just something popped into my head. The last minute, they talked about that the prosecutor said that the scene has been altered so greatly that, there's some kind of case law. Well, guess what? Everything that was taken out of that house in terms of furniture, if it's still available, can be put back in. Okay. Or you have photographs of the furniture and the so forth and so on. If you needed to, you can go out and purchase the same furniture and put it back in.
Interesting.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. There's ways to do these things. Okay. If you're concerned about that, I mean, you have photographs, you have measurements, you have sketches. You could possibly put the furniture exactly back where you took it from. You should be able to do that. You should be able to reconstruct the crime scene from your notes, from the crime scene investigators' notes, sketches, photographs.
100%. And I appreciate that you brought that up, because that is, people don't understand that is something that can be done, and if need be, should be done. And so that's what we got going on. And Linda says, great point, Ed. Thank you, Linda. I appreciate that. All right. On behalf of Crime Time with DutyRon and Ed Wallace, we're going to wish you guys a very good evening, and thank you for joining, and thank you for tuning in. Good night from New York and an undisclosed location. I can't say where it is because if I did, you may not see me again. All right. Good night, guys. Talk soon.
Stay safe. Stay safe. Stay prepared. Watch your six. And thanks for joining us tonight.
Good night, folks.